Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal.
Hello, think tankers, and welcome to another episode. Okay, you guys know, obviously I'm not paid for what I'm doing, otherwise I wouldn't be in a cluttered office, as you can see in the background, doing this on blogspot.com. And I hope you guys think that I do my own research, because I do. You know, I look at both sides and I try to come to the reasonable conclusion. Try to use my critical thinking skills that I didn't learn in school to come to something that makes sense. So I think it's time to set the record straight. What is the essence of our two-party system? Where did they come from, and more importantly, where are they going? And I guarantee you this is going to be the most controversial blog to date that I've done. But really, there's no way around it. To know where we are going is to know where we've been. Frederick Douglass. Recently, I've been doing a lot of research into his character, beliefs, and paradigm shifts, which are abundant, if you know even a little about Frederick Douglass. Now, the reason I go to Frederick Douglass is I believe that his time was when our modern political parties were framed, and soon after distorted, but we'll talk about that later. And I can't help but notice the similarities of, in particular, the Democratic Party back in the 1800s to today. Well, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? All right, before your walls go up, which I actually hope they do, because it makes more fun on my part. Oh, it might be overlooked that the Democratic Party actually wanted to expand slavery to the new territories. By new territories, I mean Nebraska, Kansas territories, California that we acquired, which we'll talk about in a second. It was overlooked that the Mexican-American War was instigated by a Democrat in office. And it was actually opposed by none other than Abraham Lincoln. It's overlooked that the Democrats wanted to throw Indians off their land in order to pursue manifest destiny to the West. And I find it funny that Democrats these days, and some Republicans, talk about toning down the rhetoric, and it's more towards the right, the conservatives. Apparently the conservatives, we have hateful rhetoric. Maybe they forgot the most vitriolic speaker of the left back in the day. His name was Stephen Douglas. And you can do more research on Stephen Douglas. But in short, he was Abraham Lincoln's main opponent and critic. Stephen Douglas pushed through the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which could have made it possible for slavery to expand westward, and arguably was the reason or the decision that thrust America into the Civil War, but that is debatable. Now, Stephen Douglas, he would make statements and jokes like this, and I warn you, this is extreme. So, hands on both armchair rests. Quote, "In all contests between the Negro and the white man, he was for the white man. But all questions between the Negro and the crocodile, he was for the crocodile." End quote. I mean, this was the cornerstone. This was the soul of the Democratic Party in this time. Now, we all know what happens next. The Democrats, the Northern Democrats, and some in the South too, think the party has been hijacked by pro-Southern slaveocracy advocators. I mean, the soul has been lost in the Democratic Party. And what happens is they break off, and there's the little parties here like the Free Soil Party and the Liberty Party, but they create the new Republican Party. Now this party is anti-slavery, and now this is arguable, the start of the civil rights movement. And this was all possible by who I consider the father of emancipation, Frederick Douglass. And although early in his life, Frederick Douglass was a Garrisonian pacifist, but later he realizes through many mentors that the founders hated slavery, and set in motion the ability to make slavery extinct through anti-slavery politics. Okay, you're wondering, I'm sure you're wondering by this time, what's the point of all this? How does this relate to today? I mean, I can learn about this whenever I want to. What can I do now? What does this mean now? Well, I'm saying this. As the Democratic Party back then has been hijacked, I'd say the Democratic Party now has been hijacked. And the Republicans were teetering on the line of assimilation as well. Hence the rise of the Tea Party. But I feel people are asleep. They don't not putting this context together. It's no longer slavery of race or creed or religion. There's a new kind of slavery. Yes, and I'm calling it that. It's a new kind of slavery that's being pushed, that was hijacked, an idea that hijacked the Democratic Party and some aspects of the Republican Party. And it's the slavery of handouts. It's the slavery of being dependent on the government for everything. For innovation, for invention, for income, for job security. I mean, FDR wrote a separate Bill of Rights that included the right of recreation. If we are slaves to the elite, which is what the Democrats are all about, the simple guy. It's not about the simple guy. It's been hijacked. It's about you being attached to the government like a baby to a pacifier. And like the slavery argument back in the 1800s, freedom and bondage can't fit in the same house. A house divided cannot stand. Now, I told you this is going to be a controversial blog, and I want your guys' input on this. This just came to me. Just doing the research, it's the same thing. It's happening again. Humanity is the same. It's perpetual. Man wants to rule over man. It's just the way it goes. Now, the way that happens is different in every civilization, in every generation. The seeds are sown way back. It may not be as obviously clear, because if slavery wasn't obviously clear back then that it was wrong morally, in the Bible it's wrong, everywhere you look, just the moral amplitude of slavery is just wrong in every way. If there was ambiguity back then of that concrete of an injustice, how hard is it to see these days? It's easy to fall asleep. Even with all the information and this stuff, it's just easy to fall asleep. So tell me your thoughts on this. Email me at drakekiley@gmail.com. Leave a comment. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Empowering you to change this country. Thanks for watching.